This is one of the best theories of leadership I have ever found in all my years of leadership training and teaching. And I'm sure a lot of you in the room have seen it before. It's Hershey and Blanchard's leadership theory, situational leadership. And basically what Hershey and Blanchard says is that one form or style of leadership doesn't work with everybody. And that actually we've got to pair our leadership style with the maturity level of the employees that we have. And it's a really interesting way of looking at your current employees and knowing where they're at and how you should be reacting to them. And basically what they say is there's two dimensions here. One is task orientation, low to high. What does that mean? High task orientation means I am looking at everything that you are doing. Can you close out the register at night? Can you receive a shipment? Can you do this? Can you do this? It's all about task. And I am high task orientation. I'm looking at everything you do all the time. The other side, relationship behavior. Relationship behavior, high relationship behavior is I really let you know me as a human being, and I get to know you as a human being outside of just the work. Okay? So we start out with an M1, the lowest maturity level. Welcome to this employee. This is a brand new hire. And this is somebody that your strategy, management strategy, high task orientation, low relationship, you're telling them what to do. This is how we receive a shipment. This is how we price a shipment. This is how we greet a customer. This is how we do this. This is how we do that. These are high maintenance people, okay? High maintenance. You got to be on them all the time. New hires. You cannot afford a lot of M1s. They are high maintenance. If you got a lot of M1s, you got a lot of problems because you're spending all your management time chasing after them. Within a month to 2 months, and that's why we say have a 3-month orientation or rather a review period in which you can let this person go. Within 1 month, they should move from M1 to M2. How do you know somebody's gone from an M1 to an M2? Real simple. They start asking questions. Why do we do it this way? Why do we do it this way? Is there a better way we can kind of do it? They begin to engage with you about the job. Pretty easy to tell that. With an M2, now my task orientation is still high. I'm still watching everything they do, but I've increased my relationship behavior. Now I'm selling them. I'm educating them. I'm explaining to them. I'm teaching them about the job and the work. M2's still high maintenance. You still have a high task orientation. M2s eventually move over to M3. They grow to M3, maturity level 3. How do I know an M2 is moving to an M3? Real easy. For about the last month or two, every time I've checked their work, it's perfect. The receiving documents are great. I'm watching them with customers. They really know what they're doing. They're nailing it. I don't need to be focused on their task behavior. I move down, dial back my task orientation, maintain the high relationship. Now it's participating with them. They're almost an equal in the business. I know they know what they're doing. They're actually doing it. Life is good. M3s are wonderful. And hopefully right now as you're sitting here, you got a bunch of M3s back at your store running the store. Because, by the way, if you got a bunch of M1s back there, woo-hoo, they are having a real good time while you are away. M4s. Eventually, you may have some M4s, and actually you might have one M4 who's back at the store, highest maturity level of all. These folks are just, they're self-running. Matter of fact, many of you are M4s within your company. In other words, you totally, with an M4, you just say, hey, look after the store, I'm gone for 2 months. And you have absolute certainty that when you come back in 2 months, everything will be perfect, if not better than when you left. They need no relationship, they need no task. They are totally self-running, functioning, amazing employees. These are what you want your company filled with. These are high maintenance. And so your strategy should always be, how am I moving these folks up to here? They got to move themselves. If they don't move out of here to here, you can't. Then you better get rid of them. Because an M1 who's been an M1 for 3 months, get rid of them. They are not ever going to be and move up that food chain. When you got M2s, again, it's about selling, teaching, educating. As they get educated, they automatically go here because their performance kicks in and they move to M3. The more M3s you got in your store, the better your life and easier your life is. Can an M3 fall back to an M2? Absolutely. And what often will happen is if they have some kind of personal issue, a death in a family or a relationship issue or whatever, an M3 can slip back to here. How do I know they do that? I start seeing that their tasks are suffering. Their sales are declining, they're showing up for work late, those things are happening. What do I need to do? Increase my relationship behavior with them, go back and talk to them and say, hey, what's the issue here? What's going on? You're better than this. And get the person back on track. I absolutely love this theory, this way of looking at staff, because it helps me understand. And by the way, if you got an M3 sales associate and you make them an assistant manager in the store, what are they? M3 sales associate, you just made them assistant manager. What do they become? M1, bingo. They move right back here to M1. When you take somebody and you give them a new position, I don't care what level they're at, they go back to M1. And it's a big mistake we make. We take a great sales associate or a great caddy or a great whatever, and give them a different job, and we don't understand that they're M1s, which means that we got to give them a heck of a lot of task orientation. You got to start doing this, you got to do this. We got to re-educate them on the job. But if you got a great M3 in a position, you give them a new position, they'll move from M1 up to M2 in generally a week or two. You know, pretty quickly they will make that jump and then back up to M3. Hiring right has never been easier. You know, the good thing about the recession is there are some great people out there who are available for work. And you know, so the candidate pool is growing larger every day. Fantastic people who have been put out of work in other jobs, and they're looking for pretty much anything. And you know, you might say to yourself, well, Jim, that's nice, but you know, when the economy turns around, they will just leave me. Don't be so sure. Awful lot of people get burned by employers, and they understand when they come to work for smaller organizations that, you know, I could learn to live with this money, because what's really more important is I don't have an ulcer, and I like what I'm doing, and I'm being treated fairly. There's a huge opportunity out there. And, you know, you have to understand, too, that I call it the $1 million decision. I think a great sales associate easily can sell $200,000 a year in your store, and by the way, should be. And so you take that $200,000 times 5 years, and you got a $1 million employee there. And so the question becomes, can you afford to make a lot of mistakes with a $1 million employee? I don't think so. I don't think so. We need to recognize the power that a sales associate has to our store. So it begins with finding, identifying for you, what are you looking for? And it begins with a job description.